Hi, welcome to the Travel Winds podcast. Today, my guest is Bhumi Bhutani from way.com. How are you today, Bhumi?
I'm doing well, Pete. Thanks for having me.
Did I say the name correctly?
You did.
Okay.
You did. Perfect.
I didn't. I usually check, and I didn't. I just realized that. I'm like, oh no. Felt I had it pretty good. How,
Yeah,
how,
you did.
how are you doing today?
Doing well. Enjoying the sunshine here in the Bay Area. So no complaints.
Well, it's not summertime yet.
Oh, really?
Uh, 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 yeah, Tony Bennett's song is actually very fitting.
hmm
People don't understand. I go to a Giants game in July and bring a jacket.
It is so true. It is so true.
And
Coldest,
and then
right?
when you go
Coldest
when you
winter.
go to the East Bay, put your tank top back on.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So many climates here that you have to get used to, but
Yeah.
keeps it interesting.
It does. You can get a little bit of snow in the foothills. So way.com, you're the founder, VP. This is a great title, VP of Strategic Alliance.
hmm That's correct.
Did you like? Did you come up with that, or
We came up with it together, I would say, but
I
it's
like
it's
that?
it's fitting once you hear what I do. But yeah, it's thank you.
Yeah. So what do you do? What is Strategic Alliance?
Yeah. So bringing on all of the partnerships in the supply. I mean, of course, not all, but definitely, providing the support to generate key partnerships for the company.
Sure.
I don't know if you know, Pete, what we do, but Way
I
is an
do,
auto.
but I want to share.
Okay.
I'm excited about it because it actually fits in perfectly with my business travel concept.
Yeah. So essentially what Way is it's an automotive super app.
Yeah.
So we've consolidated all of these car services into a single platform, single app. So customers can search across parking, roadside assistance, insurance, EV and fuel in one place, and they can transact. So
That's
bringing on the supply, has been tremendous, a tremendous
yeah.
effort for the company.
So how long has way.com been around?
Since 2016.
Yeah. So did I'm curious, did the uh, pandemic hurt or help your business?
It's funny you asked that. At first we thought, oh my goodness,
Yeah,
this is devastating. The reaction that we had when we saw the drop in sales,
sure.
as most businesses experienced, we thought, uh, are we going to get a second life? And especially since at the time we were really focused primarily on our travel, the parking side,
Yeah,
the parking side. But we actually took that time to reinvent, kind of reflect as to who we are and who we wanted to be.
perfect.
And we actually ended up developing a pandemic resistant product line because of pandemic. So if you ask me, did it hurt or help? I'd have to say in retrospect, I use this word lightly,
Very
but
lightly. Yeah,
blessing, but a
I'm
blessing.
with you. I obviously we talked real quick before, but I've had a couple of accounts go out of business and all that. But I can tell you, my company, we're experiencing 100% growth right now. We've been around since 1948, so it's not like it's a new company. But we're just seeing the numbers are crazy. So it's weird hearing
Mhm,
about the economic slowdown and interest rates and are we in a recession? Are we going to hit the 20%?
mhm.
And all of a sudden it's just like, but like my company is like reaping because of,
Mhm.
so I don't,
We're
it's
experiencing the
interesting.
same. Yeah, we're experiencing the same. I mean, we are at an all-time high.
Yeah.
We've never seen the growth that we've experienced until this year. And it's been a combination of the innovative products, but as well as, of course, travel coming back.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So
that's exactly, it's going to be interesting, because I
yeah.
think some sectors are going to bounce back much slower, but some are just going to see huge growth.
hmm
So it depends on where you're sitting, I guess.
Yes,
So,
most
and you're
definitely.
sitting in the catbird, you're at way.com. That's going to be,
Yeah. I mean, another point is, car ownership,
yeah.
right? Car ownership has been on the rise because of COVID.
Yep.
So that's also helped us quite a bit. And ultimately what we're trying to do is save folks money, right? Make car services more affordable. So that goes hand in hand with car ownership. So for us, that's another
Yeah.
boost.
Yeah. Yeah. And are you taking into, I mean, and who knows, but are you taking into account how much of the pandemic may or may not come back? Does that matter at this point?
It, I have to say it does matter. We are being cautious,
Sure.
but I think that what we all notice, right? People have begun to live,
Yeah.
coexist with the pandemic at this point. And so we don't believe that it's going to go back to where we all were.
Yeah. Yeah.
We hope it doesn't, but we don't believe that it won't. But our product lines now, like I said, are truly pandemic resistance. You
Sure.
take something as insurance, right? It's
Yep.
insurance you needed even during pandemic. You couldn't do without it. You still had to pay for
Yeah.
insurance. So that's another, so those types of opportunities.
Well,
Um,
they're recession proof too. So,
yes, recession proof, exactly.
I mean, that's how I look at it. I mean, what's an extra? What's going to get trimmed? What fat? If it does slow down even greater.
Correct. Yep.
So I mean, people are still going to travel. You know, I'm curious. You know, so many people went to working remote during the pandemic, and now a lot of people aren't going back. I mean, they're trying, and a lot of people don't want to go back. They kind of figured out
Hmm.
they got their patterns working it from home,
Hmm.
me myself included. Um, but so traveling, they might not be traveling as much. So I mean, will that affect?
No, not at all. So it's twofold, right? We're talking about the type of customers that we're looking at. Our products are for, I would say, most everyone who owns a car.
Sure,
So once you slice and dice our various product lines, then sure, you might be looking at the business traveler who is, instead of going 4 times a month, he's going 2 times a month
sure,
or 1 time a month
yeah,
now, right? But if it depends on which product you're looking at. Our roadside, our fuel, EV, those things
yeah,
everybody needs every single day. So there are products that you might use on way 3 times a month or 3 times a year, depending
yeah.
on your
Your
behavior
use.
pattern, or every day. So,
What,
that's, I think,
is there any sign up cost to Way?
no,
So
absolutely
people
free.
can just download the app and then start using.
Absolutely, right? The idea is, well, you should be able to, it should be free for you to explore, for you to search
Sure.
and transact. And we do have a membership program called Way Plus. That gives you the entire benefit of all of our products and services, which, like I mentioned, I haven't even mentioned some of the other products that we have. Like I said, we do all car services, but through Way Plus, you get really the benefit of the cost savings
Gotcha.
across the various the product lines that we have. So that's the only program which is a cost to the customer.
Okay.
That they would, it's a subscription program, but it's still incredibly cost effective. You're talking about,
I agree.
you know,
I saw some of the parking stuff and I was like, oh, I didn't even look into the insurance yet, but
yeah, I mean, just to give you an idea, right now, we were looking at data recently, and the cost of car services is roughly about 30% of the average household income.
wow.
So it costs about $20,000. So if, for us to have gone and engaged in all these contracts and, brought these partnerships on, we are able to bring our customers a savings of $3,000 a year.
That's huge.
And that is tremendous. So,
Yeah.
when you look at, like you just mentioned, recession, we're looking at inflation,
Yeah.
and, $3,000 a year matters to a lot of people, right? That's, more that I don't have to worry about my child's tuition. That's more that I can worry about paying my house down. That's more just,
Well, that's $250 a month on average, right? So I mean,
absolutely.
you sit there and you go,
So
that's a car payment, you know?
it's a car payment.
a small car payment.
Yeah.
And, maybe not in California.
Yeah, that's true. Not in California.
I'm like, oh, hold on a second. No, no. But we're special here. Now, I think,
That's nicely put, Pete.
yeah.
I don't know if it's special.
Well, we've both chosen to live here, so it's our own doing.
Oh, what to call it, necessary evil. I don't know what to call it.
Yeah, as I'm gonna go fill up my truck at diesel today, it's gonna be probably
Oh
6.80 a
yeah.
gallon. So that's a yowzer.
Yeah. Pretty soon we're going to be able to save you 85 cents a gallon,
That makes me want to travel more.
right?
Well, why is that?
That's one of the big, you know, discount programs that we're launching this summer. And again, what we do, Pete, is we look at these very antiquated services. They've
Yeah,
not been touched for a long time. They've not been looked at. I mean, auto refinance, right? Insurance. It's not been, there's no innovation really that's happened with these products
yeah,
for a long time. And we said, well, we can do better here. What can we do better? Can we do better in cost? Can we do better in how customers engage with these products?
sure.
More transparency, right? A lot of the time people buy insurance and honestly, they don't even know what they're buying. They're just, okay, this will protect me, pay
Yeah,
for it. They don't shop around. They don't even realize that, so they don't realize there could be better prices in their zip code,
but let me ask you
so
this question, because
mhm,
because now you're getting personal.
I am getting personal. Mhm.
Because I just literally started thinking about my car insurance. I've had the same car insurance guy. I had him so long he just retired,
I believe you.
literally. So now I have a new guy for the first time in 25 years.
Mhm,
And I've looked around and I've shopped, and every time it's always come back that I had the best rate. But then,
mhm.
like, how does a layperson compare apples to apples, right? You
How
know what?
many how many may I ask you, sorry to interrupt you, how
Uh,
many carriers did he give you? How many carriers did he even
well, I don't know.
how many codes did he give you, right?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean,
So you don't even know. So you don't
well,
know,
no, but
right? And
that's me
most of us
going.
don't.
That's me going online, going, okay, let me look up auto insurance, and then your age, tickets, this and that, and the rate that I'm getting now is the best one I was able to find. So I was like, well, screw it, I'll just stay with the guy I got. I mean, that's so
What if
I'm
you had the
excited.
choice? Well, what if you had the choice of going through, 150 carriers in
Well,
one
yeah,
app
that'd be
and being
awesome.
able to say, hey, I know I'm getting the best rate.
Yeah,
I've confidence in that and I trust it. That's what we're trying to do, right?
exactly.
And so it's
Well,
amazing. It's interesting for me to be part of this journey too. So
okay, so here's a quick question. Going to Berkeley,
mhm.
which I have a little experience with my ex-wife. Uh,
Okay.
um, did you ever think that the London School, right? Getting your master's of science.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What kind of science did you study in college?
It was health economics, actually. It was
Okay.
health economics. So you're absolutely right. But what kind of tangent did you go on, Bhumi?
Well,
Really?
yeah. I mean, I think it's awesome because you can use your learned degree
Mm,
towards other things. I mean, did you ever think though when you were at Berkeley that hey, someday I'm going to be way.com.
never.
I'm going to be in a .com business.
No, Pete, never.
But
Never. I come from so my family, second generation Indian immigrants. My dad's has been in business all his life, international marketing,
sure.
mom, uh, business, again, entrepreneurs in their own right, but also wanted me to become a doctor.
Yeah.
Typical,
No,
right?
no, I gotcha.
Typical, right? Although they both were in business, they wanted me to be, and the blood was in me though, right?
Yeah, yeah. I'm with you.
You want to go down one path, you think, sure, I'll do the motions, and
And you
your
end up
life has something in store for you completely different. And even your parents have no idea.
I totally agree with that. I had one guest on. Her name was Kiki Wong, and she was in
Mhm.
medical school. Same story, right? She's in college, doesn't really, but she also learned how to play guitar.
Oh.
So while she was in college, she goes on a modeling shoot. She's a pretty girl to make
Mhm.
money,
Mhm.
and so and one of the other models is a lead singer of a group, and they start talking, and they're they're, uh, they're both Asian, so they're like, and so the other one's like, hey, do you want to join my band and go on a worldwide tour to Korea and Japan and all that? And so Kiki's like, damn it, I'm in med school, but I really want to go on a
Right.
worldwide tour.
Right.
So she went on a worldwide tour. No more
You
med
got to
school.
just, and isn't it amazing how you're not sure about some opportunities or those
Sure,
doors opening, but then sometimes something else, just the timing, I don't know, there's something else there,
it was meant
you
to
know,
be.
meant
Yeah.
to be.
I feel that way about the pandemic. Obviously, as a commissioned salesperson, if we don't ship products, I don't get paid. So
Mhm.
when they shut down every store in my states, I was like, I don't get paid.
Mhm.
It's like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
Mhm.
2 weeks, flatten the curve. We're good. Don't worry about it. And then 6 weeks later, I'm like, oh my God. But then because of that, my online business more than doubled. So
Mm.
my online stores literally kept me alive while we were shutting all the stores down. So just weird.
Yeah, no, and it's interesting. It causes, I think it forces you to refocus, right?
Sure.
Forces you to refocus
Sure.
on what am I doing? What do I need to do differently at this moment?
Had you started the parking app before, during, or after COVID?
It was before.
Okay.
Yes.
So
So back in 2016, we had started the parking product.
so is the fuel, this 85 cents a gallon saving me, was that during the pandemic?
All of these discussions were
In the
definitely in the
works.
process, in the
Okay.
works.
I'm excited to see what you came up with in the last 2 years
Well, this team is a very exciting team at way.com. Let me tell you, very and smart, very heart driven.
Yeah,
Um, and it does take a team. It takes a
absolutely.
team of key subject matter experts in areas. I I don't know insurance. I don't come from an insurance background. I don't come from an automotive background. But I tell you, the team that we have here is exceptional, and they do come from that
Sure.
life, right? 25 years of insurance we have here that's helping with rolling that product out effectively, knowing the gaps that exist, knowing, what customers want at this time, knowing what millennials, knowing what various customer age
Yeah,
groups across all demographics need. Um, and I think that's key in any of these products.
totally agree.
You need to, sometimes you have a good idea, but everybody has good ideas. You need people who can execute on them and who can bring that differentiation into a marketplace. Otherwise, your product's only going to be subpar.
Well, I'm curious because obviously with my podcast, I'm trying to get information out. It seems like you just need to get more and more people to know about way.com. So how are you guys going about that?
Yeah,
Other than
it's
being on
great.
great podcasts?
That's a great question. Well, this certainly helps. But we do a ton of marketing. We do a lot of your traditional marketing, of course, but we are very much of the mindset of being as creative as possible. We of course do our email campaigns. We do a ton of SEO. We
Yeah.
do SEM. We do a ton of digital advertising, but we also now engaged in many more public relation opportunities because we know in order to get to the wider audience, we do have to have a voice to the company. We
Yeah.
have to let people know that, this exists. Take advantage of it, leverage it, especially right now where things have become so unaffordable. You have to think 100 times before you go for dinner.
Yeah.
I remember when, for me, and even now, I don't know if it is for you guys, but, $100 for me is still precious. It's still precious. And the
Yeah.
way that we just, especially in California, is the way that we just go out for lunch sometimes, just for two people or dinner. It's like the bill racks up. And you have to ask yourself, at the end of the year with the taxes, with with
Yeah.
thinking, how am I going to get my 9-year-old to college in another, less than 10 years? I got to save up. I got to stop having those dinners. So I think about all these
Yeah,
things, and I know a lot of I know a lot of Americans do, right? We do.
absolutely. I just went, I told you I went to Hawaii for the first time since the pandemic started to go see my stores, the ones that made it. Eating at a hotel, you know, it was a $29 omelet, and you're like,
That's
well,
that's a they stole that.
I'm like, "Hey, there's
And
chickens everywhere." I'm like, come on,
what
you know.
was in that omelet?
I'm like, yeah. So I mean, but you walk around the corner and you go to the Noco Grill, which is where we went, and they're normal prices, but it's the place at our hotel was packed every morning, and you're like, man, a lot of people buying $29 omelets. What's going on?
And I keep thinking, what do they do?
Yeah, I
What do
asked
they
a
do
whole
for a
bunch
living?
of yeah.
How do you afford a $29 omelet? You know?
Well, fortunately or unfortunately, we both live in very expensive neighborhoods.
Yes.
Northern California and Southern California. And yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, we literally get to pay for the privilege of paying for the driving on the roads that we've already paid for.
And by the way, they're doing that to us now.
I know. You're welcome.
Oh my goodness.
It worked out so well down here. We decided to give you the $9 fee in the morning to drive on the road that you already paid for.
Don't get me started. I'll go up. This podcast will go in a completely different direction.
It works
You
so
might get
well down
calls,
here.
Peter. You might
It
get
works.
calls.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I used to complain about driving across the Bay Bridge every morning. Yeah, I'm like, really? I'm paying for the paint job on the bridge.
But you're absolutely correct in saying we're paying for the roads we drive on.
Yeah.
You're absolutely accurate.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Look at the if because I just went through several airport parking lots.
Mhm.
Because I island hop when I go to Hawaii. So everyone's like, "Oh, you're so lucky." I'm like, "Well, I went to the Big Island for 2.5 days. I went to Oahu for 2.5 days, 3 days, and then went to Kauai for 4 days." So, but that's a lot of traveling. It's new hotels, it's new cars, it's rental cars,
Mhm.
it's parking. You know, it's crazy. So I think
It adds
way.com,
up.
yeah, that's where
It,
way.com can really help.
I mean, so, and I don't know where you parked, but on average, if you park on airport, right? I'll just tell you that I'll break down the difference. If you park on airport versus off airport, which is what we offer,
Yeah,
you're looking at, and I am not
it's
kidding you.
huge.
Okay. I'm not kidding you. You're looking at minimum 40% minimum. That's the bare minimum, but upwards of 70% difference per
So
day. Now, would
is
you
that
rather be paying for your parking? Would you
yeah,
rather be paying for your time in Hawaii,
or the
or the,
I want to be able to afford that omelet.
or the,
if I if I can save money on airport parking, I can buy the omelet.
there you go.
Maybe
Kind of like that too, right? Where would I
that's
be wanting to put my money in?
that's
Yeah.
my question now. When I start talking to people and like trying to figure out what they do for, I mean, you use way.com, huh? You save money on airport parking. That's how you can afford it here.
It's smart. It's smart. When you know it exists, take advantage of it.
Now you've been pretty fortunate. You're now starting to do some speaking engagements
Mhm.
and doing that type of thing. How cool is that for you? And do you get to humble brag to your parents? Oh, I'm going to North
No,
Carolina. I'm going.
I never talk about my work. I only talk, if they need parking, I'll tell them to go. If they need a car wash, I'll tell them go to this car wash. But no, I'm not the type. But what I think it's honestly, it's important. It's like telling a friend, you don't know about this.
Yeah,
You're spending so much on this. We do that all the time, don't we? We tell
sure.
people, hey, this is a better way. I just noticed this. I think it doesn't need to be a secret. It's everybody should use it. And so I'm just trying to kind of create the awareness, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's almost like a need to know.
Yeah, I mean, so God, I just wonder. I thought it was interesting that you said you're using traditional marketing, and then you're talking about SEO and SEM. It's so weird that that's traditional.
Combination.
You know,
No, yeah, that's, I guess I should have, but I meant to say, we're using, your typical signage as one piece, right? That brand awareness because you're driving.
yeah,
And then if you see the way sign, you associate it. But you're right too, in terms of digital advertising at this point, even SEO and SEM has now become kind of traditional, hasn't it?
it
We've been
absolutely,
using it for a long time.
yeah. No more yellow pages. Yeah,
But
but that's before your time anyway. So
oh, it wasn't.
yeah.
You're very kind though.
Eh, have you? I'm just curious because my brain's thinking now. When I walked through, we went to Hawaii through Hawaiian Air, and we had to go to the new Tom Bradley terminal, which is the
Mhm.
extended. And it's literally, it's got to be close to a half-mile walk from when you walk into the entrance all the way to the gate. But and they had a lot of the TV signage on the
Mhm.
walkways and all that. Are you looking into that kind of stuff? The
Not yet.
digital,
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, we're exploring all the options. We our head of content does an incredible job in really seeing where it makes sense for
yeah,
a way to be, visible. We just don't want to plaster ourselves everywhere. We're not that, we're not going to waste
yeah,
money. We're
yeah,
not going to waste, if it's a strategic placement where there's a call to action for customers to, you know, download the app, know, engage. It makes sense for us to maybe explore,
sure.
right? But we're just not going to hang a sign just for the sake of
No,
hanging
no,
any sign
because
or being,
they had probably I want to say 50 LCD TVs along the walkway that kept changing.
Oh,
So like it was and it was all Mexico city of
mhm.
tourism and all that kind of stuff. It was all everything related to travel. Then it just
then
changed.
then it may make sense. Then to
Do,
your point, it may make sense.
do you put QR codes on things? I was curious about that.
We do.
Yeah,
We absolutely do. Right? It makes sense to do it if you want an instant booking.
yeah.
If you right there, take advantage of the opportunity right there. You're parking, QR code, scan, park.
So let me ask you this question. Maybe I'm literally just coming up with this right now. What if you had a billboard that had a QR code that was half the size of the billboard that someone could scan from their car as they're driving? Is that possible?
Definitely would be a distraction, but I think I'll definitely
Yeah.
run it by no, it's a cool idea.
I was just thinking like, cause I'm looking at
It's a,
getting a QR code for for the podcast. So, but I'm like,
yeah,
how do you make
I
it
never
easy?
seen it before.
I haven't
I've
either.
never,
I do a
but I
lot of
think it's,
driving.
yeah, me too. Me too. I think it's far enough distance and the QR code is big enough.
That's what I'm saying.
It'll work.
So
I don't
when
know
do
if
you?
it'll be permitted. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I know that would be interesting though. Like if you could do it in a non-driving area. I don't know,
Hmm.
but it'd have to be huge. But I wonder if you just put up a QR code, would people scan it to see what it is? If you did nothing
They
else and
do.
just put up a QR code.
Well, no, I don't. I think you have to be more engaged, right? There needs to be a reason. And for us, for example, we give reasons. We give, we'll give definitely first time
Yeah,
discounts to explore because people need to be encouraged. They need to be because you're not there to share the
yeah.
value. So oftentimes you need to do something that moves them beyond just it needs to be something some other messaging, either some sort of promotion or some sort of reason of what value savings, right?
But you don't think people would just be curious to see what's? I don't know. It'd be interesting. I don't know. Anyway.
Definitely depends on the messaging. Yeah.
So how, you have the children. You sound like you get like me where you're just like you think about work. I mean, it becomes not just work. It's just
Life.
way of life. Yeah.
Yes.
How are you balancing the kids, family, friends, parties, and trying to make way.com what it can be?
Yeah. There are a lot of things that definitely do take the back seat. The
Yeah.
socializing definitely takes the back seat. I'm very limited on who I associate with. I'm very careful, and I think it's good because I have a young child, and everything I do is
Yeah.
impressionable, and so it's actually better that things have kind of become more tight knit and more selective. I spent a lot of family time. Family
Yeah,
for me is number one. Outside of my work, it's work, family, work, family, work, family.
sure,
So, and for me, that's helpful for me mentally. I,
absolutely.
I so my in my pastime on my weekends when I'm not at way, I take my 9-year-old with my husband to go golf.
Nice.
And I'm out there on the golf course. And I tell you, it is the most meditative state if I'm not watching her.
I was going to say,
If
yeah,
she's not,
my golf experience in Hawaii was not meditative.
as long as we're not in a competition that moment, and we're playing for kicks,
Yeah, yeah,
then I just enjoy the golf course. I just enjoy the
sure.
birds. I enjoy the trees. I enjoy the greenery, which, in the Bay Area, it's getting harder to find. So
Yeah, no kidding.
where you get at the golf course.
Why have greenery when you can have an apartment building?
Don't
We need more parking
even get
lots.
me
That's what we
started.
need. We need more parking lots for way.com to see.
That wouldn't be so bad in some places. That wouldn't
Yeah,
be
that's
so bad in
it.
some places, but I wouldn't tear down a golf course. I'll tell you that.
You might have to if we go through this drought. We're going to see. It's going to
Hmm.
affect a lot of things. Lack of water is going to be interesting this
Yes.
summer.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And
true.
and
That is true.
we, being Southern Californians, are just going to keep stealing your water. So, yeah, thank you.
One mess after the other, huh?
We got to get it from somewhere. Because we don't create our own water, so we never have.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's the interesting thing for me because I literally travel up and down the coast. In Central Valley, I'll go up through
Hmm.
Fresno, stores in Bakersfield, wherever agricultural grows is basically where my
Hmm.
stores end up being,
Hmm.
and it's going to be an interesting summer. You
Yeah.
know, uh,
No, I remember I was so I used to live in the Central Valley for a short time. I remember seeing, that's why I said, I've heard of this. I've heard of Food Barn.
yeah, yeah. Well, and
Yeah.
they're growing everywhere, so it's pretty. It's good for all the vendors. You know, what is the here's a quick question you might not want to answer. Would you be are you was the start of Way to build up Way and then sell it? Because I know a lot of .com companies, fintechs, and all that is you know the next level type thing to have somebody buy them.
Yeah, I think it's too early to say at
Okay,
this time. We both the founder and CEO, my colleague Binu, and we never, I guess, in this journey have not thought of building it up to be sold. We never like had that mentality
okay,
in at the inception. It's always been we're so much heads down on improving at the moment what we have and refining and bringing on more options for customers, bringing on more differentiation in pricing. And I think that's really been the focus at the moment is there's so much still more to there's so
I
much more
know.
to do, and there's so many more car services to be able to bring uh, to showcase value that I think it's way too early for us to even consider.
But
But
if someone
who
came
knows?
to you with $1 billion,
Who knows? May have to revisit that
I was
discussion,
going to
Peter.
say $1 billion's a lot of money.
Billion is a lot of money.
You might have to retire, semi-retire. You spend more time on the golf course.
See, we'll see. We'll see. Right now, it's really about there's so much more to do,
Yeah,
and I don't think in my and the personality that I have, even I'm not the kind who would ever retire.
I'm
To
with
be
you.
honest, I
I'm
think
with
that
you on
if
that.
I retire, that's the day I'm done because I'm just there's just so much energy. There's so much left to do and explore in this
I,
life.
I think it's almost not
Mm-hmm.
societal. Meaning, like
Mm-hmm.
my in-laws, they retired at my age. And I'm like, what'd you do for the next 30 years? Like, you could have done so much. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's so much to do. There's so much to give.
yeah,
There's so
yeah,
much to give for each person. There's so many. You don't have to maybe be working those 80-hour
sure.
weeks, but there's so much to do in the community. There's so
Yep.
much of activism, and there's a if I wasn't doing this, I would be doing so
So,
much more in that. So
so, so don't retire.
don't retire. That's the message.
Even if you get $1 billion, that's a lot of money though. I'd have to think about it. I would retire, but I'd still do something. That's what I told my wife. I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm still moving. Yeah.
I hear you have two daughters as
They're
well.
27 and 28. Yeah. So they're done and done. One's married, lives in Tennessee. Don't get to see her but once a year. And then the other one's
Oh,
actually in Greece right now with her boyfriend as we
oh
speak.
wow.
I'm like,
I
yeah,
wanted to travel to Greece.
yeah, me too. I, I was going to ask you this question. And I don't know if you've done any of the research of traveling. It
Mhm.
seems like the younger people, millennials, my daughter's age, are traveling a lot more than I mean. It was a lot harder when I was her age. There was no internet, so like
Mhm.
you had to call a travel agent to try and find out, and then you had to live. It just didn't happen that much.
Yeah,
Or do you see more traveling with the younger people?
I definitely do. And a few reasons. Number one, in terms of the actual booking experience, as you just shared, it's
Yeah,
just become a lot easier,
sure,
right? It's almost brainless. It's seamless and in very good ways, right? It makes it easy for us to
absolutely.
find the right prices. It's transparent. It's convenient. Uh, and now, like, look, I mean, just 2 days ago, um, Dara Uber launched their travel, Uber
Oh,
Travel. I don't know
didn't
if
see
you
that.
saw that,
Oh,
and they're connecting the itineraries, the reservations, the restaurants, their flights, all in one.
yeah,
So again, the more convenient you make it for this generation,
yeah,
the more engaged they're going to be. The cost, right? The cost, I mean, post pandemic, I'm going to have to check some rates right now. It might
yeah,
be at its all time high, but I think
yeah.
millennials are more willing to spend money on
Travel.
travel. And you can work from, right? The flexibility of working
Yeah,
remotely or having some hybrid allows young people to also still work, get their paycheck, and
absolutely.
be in a different country.
Yeah, yeah. And I didn't think about that, the working remote, but yeah, I mean, I I can only tell you my youngest daughter and her husband are NFT creators. So they work out of the house, they create digital art, they trade and sell and buy and they make more than I do. So it's like who's to blame, I mean, it's a weird world that we live in.
It is, and it's become interesting. It's become what I like about the world right now, though. It's become, I feel more, we're more global minded.
Yeah,
We're becoming more global minded, more conscious about what's happening than ever before. I lived in London for a long time, and when I was doing my master's, and I remember as a young person being more engaged about what was happening in the Eastern Europe
sure. Yeah, yeah.
regions, or in the African region, or in the Asian region. And to be quite honest with you, those were things that it wasn't because I was planted there. It was because I had the content coming to me.
Yeah.
The media there was much more transparent. And
Totally
so
agree.
so, um, you know, and I feel being now here, we're in that moment because of the travel. We're also able to physically see and be around those individuals from different cultures and see what those relationships, build those relationships, see those similarities, and be more involved and say, okay, what's happening there?
Yeah.
And it's beyond the news. It's beyond, it's us physically living it. And I think that's what's different, and what we're bringing back here too. We're bringing back that
Agreed.
experience, and it's helping shape how we hopefully handle each other, manage relationships here. And so I'm looking at it and hoping that it's more of a positive progression for us here.
Do you think you'll be traveling, doing more business travel this year? As far as trade shows, I mean, what kind of things do you travel
Yes.
for?
Yeah, I already have. I love traveling. I
Yeah.
love traveling domestically. I love being able to engage with people one on one. And like you, I think that's deal done face
Yeah.
to face, and that trust built face to face is, you can't replace it.
Agreed.
right? And having, breaking bread is so important in business. Anyhow, that's so I take every opportunity to go to trade
Okay.
shows. I take every opportunity to meet people, uh, explain about way.com, especially since, like, now it's building that awareness, building who we are, making sure the messaging is really clear on what the value proposition is it's important for people to know like this, and then let it go viral, let others know.
Yeah.
But this engagement is first and foremost, I think, the most vital
No,
face to face.
obviously I agree. I mean, I was it was curious because I talked to a lot of even like comedians who were trying to do. I mean, what if you're a comedian and you can't perform at a comedy nightclub because they're all closed? How do you make money?
Yeah.
And they were trying to do comedy shows via Zoom
Oh,
and
no
group
way.
chats and all. Oh yeah, and I'm like, dude, that's got to be hard.
No. So it's so funny you mentioned a comedy show. We were just at Hassan Minaj. I don't know if you've heard him.
Uh,
Hassan
oh
Minaj,
yeah, yeah,
he's a,
yeah, yeah.
you're right,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah, yeah.
We met to see him. I saw Trevor Noah right before pandemic. That was my last comedy show. Big fan. And then Hassan Minaj was just about 3 weeks ago here in San Jose. And everybody was wearing masks.
Yeah,
But the
of course.
feeling of being in a room of laughter,
Yeah,
that feeling of togetherness and being able to connect with the comedian, and he's intelligent and
yeah.
he's
He's
funny and right at the same time. And so that was a different feeling after a long time, so to
wait till you go to show with no mask. I've done
yeah.
several now.
Have you?
Yeah, well, you travel outside of California. If you go to Tennessee, Texas, you
Hmm.
know, my daughter hasn't, one lives in Tennessee, hasn't worn her mask since April of 2021 or 2020. I forget. I mean, she's like, I don't even know where they are, Dad. Like, because they haven't needed one. So it's
Yeah.
just, and I'm like, California, we're like celebrating, and I went to Dallas in January for a trade show. And like, here in California, it's, I got one mask here, I got an extra mask here, I
Hmm.
got one in my backpack. You go there and like, oh, no, no.
No,
No one's wearing it. You're like,
it's almost odd if you are wearing it, right? Or if
oh,
you're even
yeah,
looking
especially,
for it.
yeah, yeah. Like, yeah. Well, the first thing they say is you're not from around here,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, yeah, but it's bad. I keep being told in California that the pandemic, it's bad. I went to Tennessee and I'm like, I go to the bars on Broadway Street and I'm like,
Yeah.
but it's bad. I keep being told it's bad. Something's
Yeah.
wrong here.
Better just, that's a fun area though. You're in
Yeah,
Nashville.
yeah, yeah, yeah. My
That's a
my
fun
my
spot.
my my wife's friend's opening a theater downtown, a new theater right on
Oh,
Sixth Street,
wow.
and we were supposed to be there next week, but it got pushed back. So they're gonna open it in August now instead of June
Yeah.
1st. So
I went to Opryland, saw a show there once. It was beautiful.
we did the backstage tour, and that was pretty cool. That was pretty neat to see, like
That's
all the
cool.
yeah, because they weren't doing shows at the time. So it was during the pandemic. That was a year and a half ago. What areas do you like to travel to the most that you've seen so far?
Uh, if when I go out of the country, we love going to Europe. But I love seeing Asia. And one of my favorite places, of course, was Bali. We went to Indonesia.
Oh wow, nice.
A long trip, but
Yeah,
it's just a different experience and different culture, different way of life, but yet similarities.
sure.
And so I enjoyed that trip. I honestly, I probably not one corner of the world that I wouldn't want to go see. Uh, just
Where haven't you gone that you want to
where
go
haven't
see?
I gone? Um, I have not gone to, let's see here. I haven't gone to Australia. I haven't been to
Another long
Australia
flight.
and New
Yeah,
Zealand. That would be, that's on my list
you're
now,
gonna
I
have to
think.
wait. They're not
Yeah.
letting people in just yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah, from my understanding that because they're islands, they're trying to keep that zero COVID lockdown stuff going.
Mm.
I don't know if it's still going. I'll have to check.
Yeah,
But
that's on my list.
uh, New Zealand, I definitely want to go. My daughter went. My older daughter went a couple years ago, and one of her high school friends moved there, so she got a free room and board. And
Mhm.
I'm like, done, go. You know.
Yeah. I would tell my daughter the same once she is of age to be independent, see the world, connect with people, you know.
I said that because I didn't experience any of it. Like growing up, we didn't go anywhere. Like my parents both worked. You know, it was like
Mhm.
so I we didn't go anywhere. Like the
Yeah.
first plane flight I remember was when I was 18.
Oh,
So
wow. My
not so what?
parents put me on a flight when I was 6.
Oh
That's a
yeah.
different story. Alone,
One way and
one way, go.
let's see if she figures out how to come back. if, if she makes it back, we'll keep her. But if she doesn't,
Pretty
we'll try.
much.
We'll try
She's not
again.
smart enough to get back. Like, you want to get rid of
We just wanted to make sure you could, that you wanted to be around us. You're going to
That was a
med school.
learning.
You're going to business school, right? Oh man. You
Yeah.
know, I I had my daughters, and I think that where you came with, I think that's the same thing. Like when opportunities came up for my kids, I was like, take it because it's so much more difficult when you have kids and a job and rent and I said from the age about 18 to 22, 23, I told them do whatever you can, go
Do it.
wherever you can, and they did. I mean, it was nice. My daughter took one semester in London,
Yeah.
uh, and she flew to Green or Iceland, had her layover in Iceland, went to London. Her cousin works in Paris, so she took the channel over and stayed in Paris for a few extra days, and then had
Yeah.
her layover coming home in Moscow.
Wow.
So she circumvented the
Yeah.
globe at 21 or 20.
You're a good dad.
Oh, I didn't pay. She paid for it all. I mean,
Oh,
even better. I
even
was
better.
like, yeah, and it's so weird. Like I'm FaceTiming my daughter in London. Like she's like, "Hey, Dad, look at this, and look at the double decker bus, and and I'm like, "Oh, I've never been there." So
Yes,
it's pretty cool.
that is. It's and so important. So important for them to experience that on their own and see if they can survive, right? Make
Well,
it out.
yeah, yeah, and yeah. I mean, but
I mean, it's London, it'll be fine, but you
no,
know what
no,
I
but
mean?
she went to her college roommate, younger daughter's college roommate, was from Malaysia. So and she was a year older. So when she graduated, she invited Allie over. Allie spent a month over there, or about 3 weeks, and they went to neighboring countries and all that. So it's like, to do it now. Like,
Do
go.
it now.
Yeah. So,
And who knows what the future is? They'll be involved, like you said, in work. They'll be, probably maybe family. It gets busy. Life
no,
gets
yeah.
busy.
Yeah. So, what other ways can Way help people?
Mhm. So
You got
we
insurance
have,
and parking. Those seem to be the main. And then you're doing
and
gas and EV
so we have car wash.
or
So
fuel.
what we've done is we have consolidated all car wash locations, various brands. So from Mr. Car Wash to, your, uh, you know, um, your, what are another one? Ducky Car Wash, and essentially made it all available in our app. So you can purchase a monthly subscription for car wash,
Okay.
and you can get your car washed at any one of our locations, or you can purchase it a la carte, right? So the convenience of
Huh.
having a car wash in your city near you
Sure.
within proximity, making sure you get the best rate that's available for that car wash. There's different levels. So that's another very interesting offer. Again, very fragmented industry, right? There's
Yeah,
multiple
absolutely.
players, different car washes. To be able to consolidate them was a lot of heavy lifting, but it's convenient. It's convenient for you, just like searching for a gas station.
I'm on board because you know I travel a lot. I mean that's what I do. So it's interesting to be able to find a car wash. That's a really good idea
Mhm.
actually.
Yeah.
Do, have you ever thought about getting into the trucks?
Yeah. So in terms of trucks, we also offer, like in the parking vertical,
Yeah.
trucks need anything with parking, storing
Yeah.
the oversized vehicles. Again, car wash is applicable for trucks, EV fuel, your roadside assistance, right?
Yeah.
Insurance.
Yeah.
We have auto refinance. I mean, we're just getting started.
What? Because I just bought an RV. I bought it well, I got it in February, and it's interesting because now I'm looking for diesel, right?
Hmm.
And different places to park, and what allows it if you can consolidate that.
Yes, that's exactly what we are doing.
Well,
That's
hurry up!
exactly what we're doing, right?
Stop wasting time on
I wish
Zoom calls and get it done.
I'll get it done, Peter. I'll get it done.
It's still Friday. You got time, buddy. I mean, come on.
You mean
Ri-
I don't get to take Ruba for golf this week?
And Ryan's no longer getting the rest of the day off.
No, no.
Just
Back to work.
because you figured out your headphones doesn't mean he gets the day off now.
We're all going to make it more convenient, yeah,
That's gonna be
and more
awesome.
affordable. So,
Which we all need,
yeah,
so we can get those $29 omelets.
there you go.
So what's the best way for? Well, I mean, you want people to follow way.com. That's pretty easy.
Yes,
Is it the app? Is it Instagram? Do you have social media?
sure. We
How
have
do you want?
all of the above,
Okay.
all of the above. All right. Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. We are on, you gave, way.com, just like that. They can download the Android device. They can download the app on, Apple. Um, we've ton of, we're doing a lot more YouTube
Okay.
tutorials also on, how to maintain your car and different, I would say toolkits or FAQs on how to's for your car. Those
Okay.
are really interesting to check out. Um, I would say those are probably, we have a really, really informative blogs. The
Oh, nice.
content that we develop is very much targeted to this industry, but also extends out to what's relevant
Okay.
within people's, on their journey as a
Yeah.
driver. So those are really cool to check out, tips and tricks. It just depends on what the topic, but again,
Yeah.
around the automotive industry.
Yeah. And that's huge. That's gonna be awesome. And then if someone wanted to get in touch with you
Sure.
to hire you to go speak at their seminar or what have you.
Available on LinkedIn. I
Okay.
would say that's the best way to reach me.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and happy to help. Again, more people need to know how to make at least one aspect of their life have more peace of mind,
Yeah.
and you know
Oh, wow.
things right as
Sounds
the
great.
yeah.
Well, hey, thank you so much for your time today. You gave me
Thank you,
a lot of
Peter.
time on a Friday, so I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thank
You
you.
too. I can't wait to. I'm gonna check out way.com as soon as we hang up.
Please do. Take
Thanks,
care.
man. Okay.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.